responses to these videos about Ezekiel 38 and Gomer and how the Gomerite deal works seem to not be getting through. And I think it's because if you listen to Richard Dawkins, he'll tell you that we're all cultural Christians. So we're all influenced by the fairy tale. So even if you're not a believer and have caused yourself to turn off your prefrontal cortex as you're seeing here, you're still influenced by the same propaganda, and it's always about religion. And so we need to look at the Bible from the perspective without any modern religious considerations, because modern Christianity, Judaism, and Islam didn't exist 2,000 years ago. So we have to look at it from a non-religious perspective. Now you might say that the Talmud is a religious perspective, but it's just telling us who the players are in the Bible, not about religion. Gomer is Germania. Germania is Germany. Germans would go forth to destroy the entire world. This is the German House of Windsor, with their original name, the German house, pure German blood back to literally the Holy Roman Empire practically, the House of Saxe, Coburg, and Gotha. That's King Charles. That's King Charles. And look at what has happened. This is where the Gomerites of the British Empire have dominated the world, including the area in question that is such a big issue today and has been for years and years. Gomer took it over. You can see right here, Gomer has taken over what we now call Iraq, and here's Syria, but this was actually, this is Syria. Why isn't it? Because this is not the British Empire, but this is the French. The French, after Sykes-Picot, got Syria and Lebanon and Iraq. I think that's how it was broken down, and then Iraq and part of Jordan, Transjordan, and Levant, Palestine became British Crown. I mean, it's very simple. There's no need for the word religion to even appear here. But the commenters can't help it because of the incredible conditioning that we've all gone through. So this is Japheth. He is a son of Noah. Sons of Noah. Now again, this isn't religion. This is a story. You made a religion from it. Sons of Noah were Japheth, Ham, and Shem. What I've underlined here are the enemies of God in the Bible story that come in Ezekiel 38 and invade Palestine. And we're told that God in the Bible, the story, will come down from the heavens and send fire bombs or whatever at the invading Gomerites and Japhethites. That hasn't happened since 1915 because it's never going to happen. And then in Revelation 20, we're told that once again Gog and Magog. Well, who's Gog and Magog? Well, there's no Gog here. There's a dude named Gog. And so in Revelation 20, Gog and Magog appears, recruits their nations again. You can see who they are. The sons of Japheth are the nations of Gog and Magog. Gomer is the biggest player in the current scheme that's running. It's simple as that. There's no religion required. There's a book. But people just cannot look at it without bringing in their religion. It's unbelievable how people are just, oh, geez. Sorry. So this is a map, world known according to Mosaic account. Now, what I want you to see here is Japheth, Shem, Ham. A lot of words there. Look at this. Easier. You can see everything from southern Turkey and up is Japheth. The entirety of, you really call it the Arabian Peninsula, right? This whole Arabian Peninsula, except for this part down here. This is Shem, and then Ham. Ham is not playing a big role in the world today. They've been bombed by Japheth very efficiently. Remember when they took out Gaddafi? Well, Gaddafi's Ham, and Japheth took out Ham. This was what the Japhethites do, man. So just look at it like that, and you can see, because they've invoked this book. They've invoked the book. What they have failed to realize is that by invoking the book, they place themselves into the story. So here's Gomer. Now you see Meshach here with the underline. That's just a screenshot. It's also spelled CH, so that's why. But the Bible, I'll show you in a second, shows Meshach. So we got to blend these guys. Blend them. Can you see how we did this? No, watch. Boom. This is the world according to the Bible. Ham has been bombed by the Japhethites. Go back and watch what happened to Gaddafi. So Gaddafi's Ham bombed by Japheth. So evil sons of Japheth that make up Team Gog, and they're like Satan, right? Because they're going to the pit. In Revelation 20, they're going down with Gog and Magog. Satan will be gone forever. However the fairy tale goes, that they've invoked. So this is what has been invoked. So we need to understand who these players are. Do we need to mention any of the Abrahamic religions? No. So don't bring up, if you choose to do comments, any of the religions. Stop. These are the only names we need to deal with so you understand the hyperstitious state that we have been bathed in for generations. So this is Ezekiel 38. God, in the Bible story, okay, is the enemy. He's telling Ezekiel who the enemies are. Gog of the land of Magog. Here's Meshach. You can see the spelling Meshach. Tubal. There's Tubal, Togarmah, and Gomer. So here are the enemies. These are the sons of Japheth. And there's Gomer here too in Turkey. So the sons of Japheth are going to invade and take out the Shemites in Palestine. That's what the book says. Well, who's Japheth? Japheth is England and Gomer. They're the big Gomerites. They trace their Gomerisms back to, literally the, as I said, the Holy Roman Empire. Okay, so here's the other thing. The Gomer British Crown owns the copyright of the King James Bible. That's like the oldest Bible that exists, and all the other versions of it are basically identical. So really think about it. Gomer, the enemy of God and Jesus, owns the copyright of the Bible. It's unbelievable. So European descended Americans are Gomerites, which makes American, Japhethite Gomerites, but we're using the word Gomer because they're the biggest players. So European descended Americans are Gomerites, which makes American Christians the enemies of Shemite Palestinian Jesus. That's just how it works. What land is being invaded in Ezekiel? Well, Palestine. We're told it right here. Who's the enemy? Gomer. Who gets put to the pit in Revelation 20? Gomer with Gog and Magog. Who's Gomer? European and American Japhethite Christians. According to the book, you're going to hell. Fortunately, the book isn't real. But can you see? I only use the word Christian once here just to illustrate who you are. It's the Gomerites. So why can't you just embrace the Bible from the perspective of what Jesus said to do rather than acting it out in a hyperstitious event, which is clearly laid out here? The British Gomerites promised to the Middle East Shemites in 1915. This is at the end of World War I. The British Gomerites told the Shemites, now Arab simply means, like this is Arabia. Arab basically means desert dweller. The Arabs are all descendants of Shem. So British Gomerites negotiated with Shem that ran, it was the Sharif of Mecca in 1915. And Gomer said to Shem, if you take out the Japhethite Gomerites that have run Shem lands for 400 years, because that's how far it goes back, how the Turks were in control for those 400 years. So the Gomerites said, if you take out these other Gomerites, you can have all this land. It'll be yours finally. And they're like, no problem, we'll do it. So they did it. And after they beat back the Turk Gomerites, the Gomerites of England, look what they did. They moved in and they took over the land that they said that the Shemites could have. Do you see that? There's no need for religion at all. The religions of Gomer that own the Bible is the tool of Gomer. There's nothing to do with the religion. The religion is of these people. These people are being destroyed by Gomer, and Gomer Christians are supporting it. And here are the steps of it that go back to 1915. And up to date, Gomerite Israel gets 30% of its weapons from Gomer, Germany. Can you not see how this is working out? This has nothing to do with religion. The religions are the smoke screens. They're like part of the fog of war to keep the stupid peasants fighting amongst themselves while, I mean, look at this. When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, like I showed in the previous video, where they put their American warships in the Red Sea, dropping tear gas on the Shemites, as Gomer, Japheth, American, moved its embassy, which means its military, into Jerusalem during a time when Greater Jerusalem, Palestine, was surrounded by Gomerite warships in the Red Sea, just in case. Well, whose ships were they? They were Gomer. Can you not see this? This has been going on for 1,000 years, but we don't see it because the hyperstition state and the brain deadedness of it all causes American Christians to think that they are like the defenders of Jesus, and they're not. They are the enemies of Jesus. Do you see how insane this is? This is a horrific hyperstitious state that the world lives in, and the fog is the religions that are basically owned by Gomer, who is the enemy of God and Jesus. So, again, you should not look at the world stage from the perspective of religion. It's not religion. It is exactly what we were told by those in the Talmud. All they said was Gomer will conquer the world, and Gomer has conquered the world. It didn't say this religion or that religion will conquer the world. It said Gomer will conquer the world, and Gomer owns the religions that are used to control the world. It's really not that complicated.